the game.
Hi, I'm Kelsa Dickey, the CEO of the Financial Coach Academy and my financial coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. My coaching journey began more than a decade ago with me helping people for free from my dining room table. What was once a little business of mine has grown into a 7-figure company that employs a team of people. My goal is simple, to help you fall more and more in love with financial coaching. I believe financial coaching is the most rewarding way to make a living. If you are an aspiring financial coach or have been coaching for years, I'm here to help you create a business you love that gets your clients massive results. Let's get to it. Hey coaches, welcome to episode 48, the Ultimate Growth Guide for Financial Coaches, Part 4. I would like to kick things off with a review as usual. This one is from AJM 55555551. I think I got that right. Extremely helpful, AJM says. I've listened to a lot of financial coaching podcasts over the last year, and Kelsa's Financial Coach Academy podcast is by far the best. She does an excellent job of taking you through what to expect, what works, what doesn't, and most importantly, where you should expect to see potential speed bumps. Those parts stick with me and have helped me get through them as they came up. She takes you through not only how to coach, but how to build and grow a successful business. The other programs don't offer that. Thank you, Kelsa and crew. Awesome. Thank you so much, AJM, however many. I appreciate this review so much. It's lovely to hear from you, and thank you so much for being a listener and taking the time to leave this review. We are continuing our adventure down the client journey in order to provide you with the ultimate growth guide for your financial coaching business. We've been thinking about this from the perspective of your clients, which is why we at Fiscal Fitness, my financial coaching business, call this our client journey roadmap. We've officially tackled the first 3 steps of this journey, and now we're on to the 4th step, the discovery session. If you would like to see a visual representation of this client journey roadmap, you can download one by going to financialcoachacademy.com/client journey. Let's continue our client journey. We've arrived at the discovery session. The discovery session, if you remember, is the first paid coaching session with the client. It's when we wrap our arms around what they've got going on, help them to do the same, demonstrate the value of what we do as coaches, and help them see a path forward for themselves. Then at the end of this session, we're going to invite them to continue coaching with us so we can support them as they take action and make more changes towards reaching their financial goals. If you're looking at the client journey roadmap, we've completed the first 3 phases. We connected with a lead. We qualified them with a free call. We invited them to continue their journey and solve their challenge, and we've reviewed their prep work. Now the session is here. Let's talk about the flow of this session and break it down. But first, what's the overarching point of this session? For me, I believe my philosophy with money is that in order to achieve any goal or solve any problem we have in life, we have to have clarity. We have to know what the problem is, right? We have to know what we want instead. We have to perhaps identify why solving it is so important to us, and we have to have a vision for what better looks like and feels like. We have to gain clarity on where we stand today, maybe what's causing the problem or what is contributing to it. We have to realize what is being affected by the problem. And for us financial coaches, I think clarity also means seeing money clearly, because our goal probably is to use money as a tool to solve that problem or achieve that goal, right? So being able to see, which is clarity, being able to see how I can best do that, how I can use my money as a tool, the levers I can pull or the changes I can make to speed up progress, that is clarity. Clarity is the first step for any client I have, regardless of any goal that they come to me with. Therefore, total clarity is the goal of the discovery session. Before we dive into the flow of the session, I want to pause on this for just a second. When I first started, and probably for the first few years of coaching, honestly, I did not understand or appreciate the value of clarity. I didn't spend enough time on trying to gain clarity myself, and I didn't make sure the client really and fully could see their situation and their future. By see, I mean make their money visual for them. So show them some things on a spreadsheet or in a visual way, but also see in their mind. So visualize their future and how these things are all connected. I would ask them some questions, sure, but I would oftentimes go straight into problem-solving mode. I would get right into the action steps they should take and the changes they should make. But you only know what changes to make if you have clarity. Clarity is a game changer. When you look at someone's finances, whatever they send you, chances are something happens. At least for me, when I look at a person's budget, let's say, a picture begins to form in my mind. I can see how things are connected. I can see where things are probably hard for them. I can see opportunities. Money is not just numbers on a spreadsheet. Every item, income, expense, debt load, you name it, represents something, a decision, how they spend their day, what's important to them, how things are being juggled, if things are tight or easy. The more you do this work, the more detailed that picture will form in your mind as you gain experience with a variety of clients, goals, and situations. If this happens for you, which I'm assuming it does, because it's likely one of the reasons you have a desire to help people with their money, because you see what money means to our everyday lives. One thing that may be happening is that you are discounting how valuable this ability of yours is because it happens fairly naturally for you and your mind. I know for me, this is just something my mind does. Like you start telling me some numbers or about what you've got going on financially, and the cobweb most people experience begins to form in my mind, and I can see how to unravel it. This is one of our gifts as a financial coach. It's one of the most valuable traits we have because our clients do not have it. At least they don't naturally have it. But here's the cool thing. We can share this gift with them. We can take the picture that's forming in our mind and the clarity we're seeing of their situation, and we can paint that picture so clearly for them that they can see it too. And that is the goal of the discovery session. But you can only do that if you first recognize this gift of a skill that you have and you value it. It's very common to undervalue what we inherently do well. Often our superpowers are things we do effortlessly, almost reflexively. We undervalue these things because we think it's easy, you just do it. Because it's so easy for us, and we assume that it's easy for everyone else. Being able to look at someone's financial situation and really see the cobweb of how it's all connected, but also how to unravel that cobweb is your superpower, coach. That is not easy or natural for everyone, which is why it's so valuable. A lack of clarity causes confusion, and it's really hard to take action when you feel confused. If you think about the coaching model of our thoughts create feelings, then our actions or inaction are based off of how we feel, and then those actions create outcomes. If a person feels confused, what is the action that follows? It's more likely inaction, right? Think about your own journey as a financial coach. If you don't know what to do in your business, it's really hard to do anything. You feel stuck. It's one of the reasons the Academy is so valuable because we tell you exactly what to do and we give you everything you need to do it. Confusion is replaced with clarity, so you're able to take faster and more confident action. Well, the same is true for your clients. Clarity creates confidence and commitment, making it easier for all of us to take action, which means we get better results in less time. If all you did was give someone clarity, that is incredibly valuable. Yet oftentimes coaches think they need to solve the problem in the session in order for the session to be valuable. So how do we do this during the discovery session? Let's dive into the flow of the meeting. But first, growth checkpoint number 1, coach. Are you devaluing the power of clarity, the impact clarity has on our ability to take action, and your gift of being able to see money clearly? The first phase of the discovery session is to build rapport. Introduce ourselves quickly, do a little small talk to sort of warm up the conversation. Clients are oftentimes feeling pretty nervous because they're not sure what to expect. They haven't done this before. Remember, you've done it 100 times at this point, maybe, but they've never done it before, or what you're going to tell them about where they stand. And like I said before, they likely haven't shared their goals or dreams with others, so they're probably feeling vulnerable. The second phase of the session is to establish expectations and priorities by discussing the agenda, what we're going to focus on. This is an important part of the meeting because it sets the pace and establishes you as the expert and leader of that pace. Here's how you do this. I usually say something like, if I redirect the conversation at any time, please know I'm not doing this to be rude, but we have a lot to cover and I want to make sure we get to everything we need to. If you have found yourself in the first session with someone and they sort of overshare and you struggle to get the meeting back on track, or you're unsure how to regroup or redirect the person politely, setting this expectation at the start of the meeting can be really helpful. There are times where this is super valuable information that they start to share, and other times where it's happening because the person is just nervous and they can't stop talking because of that. I am not saying that to be mean. Please know that. It's just what happens to all of us sometimes. Set the expectation right out the gate so if you have to redirect at any point, it's a lot easier. We also established the priorities for the meeting at this point. If you recall from part 3 of the series, in the prep work, we asked, what do you hope to gain from this session? And I shared how some people will list 1 or 2 things and others have a laundry list of what they hope to gain. This is where we have a conversation about their answer. If they gave a laundry list, I asked them to pick 1 or 2 of the most important things. And I'll probably say something like, while I hope we get to more, I have found it's better to focus on 1 or 2 areas and tackle those fully as opposed to trying to cover too much. You can also use this to tee up future coaching, which again is something you're always trying to do. So you can say something like, oftentimes the changes we make today can indirectly solve other areas of your money, which is a pleasant surprise. And typically other opportunities are created by the changes too, which is why most of my clients meet with me for multiple sessions after today, so we can keep a close eye on the impact of these changes and make sure you're seizing these new opportunities that don't yet exist today. You cannot solve, coach, every one of their financial woes in one session. Not only is that not realistic, but it's also why they need more coaching. So growth checkpoint number 2. Are you setting a clear expectation of what you can accomplish together that day and what will need to be accomplished in future sessions? Another way of checking in with yourself here is, by trying to cover too much in one session, are you actually robbing yourself of the potential for long-term clients and sabotaging your own growth in the process? Once we establish priorities and expectations for the meeting, we move into the coaching portion. In the next sections, we're going to explore the gap, but in a more detailed way than the quick audit call, if you remember. This is where we begin to paint the picture of their unique roadmap so they can see it too. The next phase is the vision. You can start with their current situation or the future goal and vision that they have. And there are some reasons why you may want to do it one way versus the other, depending on the client and the situation. But let's say in this example, we start with their future, which I personally find that I do most often. Their vision is, what do they want? Why is that important to them? What would change if they achieved that? And why does that matter to them? In this section, I'm weaving in their questionnaire responses with the question I'm asking because I want them talking with me about their answers. Okay, so you can absolutely and you should repeat some of the questions from the questionnaire because this is where you get to have a dialogue about it. So this could sound something like this. I read that you want to start your own business. Tell me more about that. What you're envisioning. Let me start that over. I read that you want to start your own business. Tell me more about what you're envisioning for that. Do you see yourself doing it part-time, full-time, as a passion project? Tell me more, right? You want to help them paint a clear picture of what that next phase of this looks like. So for this goal, you could also ask questions like, How many hours do you think you want to dedicate to this over the next year? And what's the lowest amount you think you can make either per week or per month when you're just starting out? Or something like, what do you need, or what financial investment will this require just to get started? Okay, so you're asking a lot more questions about the particular goal that they shared in the questionnaire, and you're trying to help them form that vision in their mind. This is called the magic wand moment of the session. If you had a magic wand and could change anything or make anything happen for your life about this goal that you shared with me, what would that be? All of this is done in order to form a picture in the client's mind of this goal and what that would look and feel like for them, okay? At the end of each section, I like to recap. And when I do this, I'm simultaneously guiding the conversation while also teeing up future growth and coaching. So I'll say something like, and I want to keep this in mind here, is that I'm reading right now. So this is going to sound way more eloquent, I'm sure. And it's way more natural when it's a real person and you're in an actual conversation. So just keep that in mind that I'm reading, but this is just an example. That sounds awesome. Working as a handyman a few nights a week, making some side money, doing what you are good at, and building a business that maybe you can step into fully someday. And doing that would allow you to pay off your debts faster, which would then put you in a position where you're not tied to your paycheck. Man, that's awesome. Today, not only will we put some ideas and structure around your business idea, but we'll also create a plan for you to manage your money in a way that is good for you now too. Your goal is to use money in a way as a handyman to pay off your debt. So we want to ensure that you do that, because I think probably the worst case scenario is you work more and you make more money, but it doesn't go towards your debt and you're nowhere closer to your goal and now you're exhausted. Of course, there's things you can do now, which is what we'll discuss, but then there will be things you can do after these changes too. So we'll want to pay attention to what those things might be as well. So keep in mind, I'm recapping and I'm validating their vision and goals. I'm reinforcing that, and that's helping to really get them clear in their mind of what that vision is. And I'm tying it back to the work we're going to do in the session today. And I'm also future casting and essentially saying, this is just the beginning, okay? Not only that, but I'm facilitating the flow of the meeting all at the exact same time. I want you to think about the buy-in the client probably feels right about now as we move into the next step of reviewing their current financial situation. And I know maybe I didn't read that as eloquently as I would have said it, or I would have explained it to the client. But the idea is, here's why we need to look at your current finances now. And here's how this is attached to the thing you want, right? We're looking at this current situation because you have a goal, not because you're doing everything wrong and need to do better, but because your goal matters. Right? That is the why of doing this. So growth checkpoint number 3. Before diving in to their current finances, are you getting their buy-in of how the here and now is tied to their goals and vision first? The next section then, of course, is looking at their current financial position. This is where I help them see what they've got going on currently. I review their finances with them, summarizing what I see since I've already reviewed it. Now, I am staying higher level here with this review. I'm essentially taking the picture that is in my head and I am articulating it to them so they can see it too. We are not making any changes here, coach. Remember, clarity first. Help them see what they've been experiencing already, but haven't been able to put their finger on themselves. We talk about the financial picture, and we also talk about how that picture feels day in and day out. Here's an example of how this might sound. It looks like most months, when things go smoothly, and it's mostly just the bills that you're paying, things are probably okay and not too stressful. There's a little bit of wiggle room, and I don't see that you're probably worried necessarily on how you're going to pay rent or anything like that. But then you have a handful of one-time expenses that if they hit you all in 1 month, it's a tough month, like super tight. And this is when you put things like the car repair or that one-time bill or whatever, X, Y, and Z, right, on a credit card. Does that sound accurate? This is where they're going to say things like, oh my gosh, yes, exactly. Or yes, that is so frustrating when that happens. Whatever that picture is, if they are over every single month, just their fixed expenses, you want to paint that picture, right? Just your bills alone are tight, and it probably feels like you have no money to go towards anything extra. There's no money to enjoy life with. That must be so exhausting. That must be so taxing, right? So you really want to take the picture you are seeing, recap it for them, help them to see that you understand what they've been experiencing up until this point, okay? Then I might continue with something like, the good news is that if we could average out your expenses and remove these big fluctuations that sometimes happen throughout the year, you're actually cash positive most months, or you're in a position to have money left that you could be making progress with on a consistent basis. So what I want to do next is talk with you about how we can set up how you're currently managing your money in order to make that happen. Because if that happens, you're actually in a good position where you're making consistent progress even without the extra income you're hoping to bring in soon as a handyman. And it will become more systematic, which would really free up your time and energy to dedicate to your new business. Financial changes typically work best when we stack one on top of another. So we're going to make some changes today. We'll get things dialed in as quickly as possible. And then we'll want to seize opportunities that don't exist right now and continue to build and stack these changes, creating more and more momentum. Does that sound good? We're always teeing up more changes and more coaching while getting their buy-in of what we're going to do next in the session. This is that dance we're always doing, right? Growth checkpoint number 4 for you, coach. Are you reviewing the current financial position before recommending changes to it? The next phase of the session, we naturally shift into bridging the gap, which is step 5 of the session. The changes the client can make in order to take the finances he is currently working with and move them in such a way that he's closer to the end goal that he wants. Typically, the changes we're recommending or we're discussing are at a higher level here. I am not personally going to focus on cancel this $7 subscription. I do not want to get into the weeds of $5 transactions during this session. That's not to say you can't or shouldn't ever do that. It's just not where I think the biggest bang for our buck as far as how we're allocating our time during this session is best served, okay? So I usually say I'm going to make a whole bunch of suggestions right now, and I want you to know you do not have to love all of them. This is collaborative. Tell me if you hate an idea and share an idea that you have. This is your money, and every client is different from every other client. So what you're willing or unwilling to change is going to be unique to you. This is your plan and your life, and the best approach is the one that is most sustainable to you. We are going for long-term sustainable progress. So keep sharing with me what you think as we go, okay? If you don't like something, just say so. If you love an idea, share that too. Are you ready? So we make changes to their current financial habits and expenses, and we show them what progress looks like. I'm going to paint a picture of their timeline as we're making these changes while simultaneously challenging them to do it even faster. For example, right now, if you could throw $500 towards your debt based on the income you've already got coming in, and without us making any of these changes, your first credit card would be paid off in January. Then I would want you to target this next debt, and that could be paid off by June. But if every month you're also able to bring in an extra $400 as a handyman, and let's say that starts in 2 months from now. So you spend this next month prospecting and letting people know you're available. Instead of January and June, it's now December and May. And I'm also teeing up more coaching because, again, there's always more we can do, right? So here's what some of that might sound like. And again, this is all a conversation. We're kind of going back and forth. There's ebbs and flows to this part of things. While you're working this plan, there are some other things we'll want to look at. And looking at your debts, I think we could get some of these interest rates lower, which would speed up your results. So optimizing your debts in the meantime of paying them off is probably something we'll also want to do. But we've just got to get a handle on your spending and all these fluctuations first. I'm also looking at your paycheck and your tax refund, and I have no doubt there's some opportunities there that I'd like to dive into next, which could really speed up your progress overnight as well. Here's the deal, coach. If you are giving the client everything they could change, right now in this session, you are doing two things. One, you are overwhelming them, and they are less likely to make any of the changes because there's just too damn many of them. And two, you aren't giving them any reason to need more coaching and support from you. You are doing both them and you a disservice. Change happens in increments and by compounding good moves and wins on top of one another. It is what is best for their energy and motivation over time. You want them to experience this, and all too often coaches throw everything at a client, probably because you want to earn your worth, so to speak, right? And you want to deliver value. I totally get that this comes from a good place, but you are actually doing the opposite. Tee up some of these changes and the need for more coaching instead. Again, so many exclamation points in my notes because it is so crucial. Paint the clear picture that there is always more we can do to speed up their progress, and this is just the beginning. Think of it this way. There's an art or a dance. You are saying, here's how it can be better now compared to what you've been experiencing. And you are also giving them hope, and it can be even better still, and you are capable of more. It is hope with a dose of reality. In this section of the session, we're bridging the gap. And keep in mind, bridging the gap also includes the mental and emotional aspects of what these changes will take. Not only do we as financial coaches provide financial strategies, but so much of our value comes from supporting them as they execute those strategies. This is where teeing up more coaching is the easiest, in my opinion, because all I'm doing is painting this picture of what change feels like, and navigating it is what more coaching is for. Growth checkpoint number 5. Are you bridging the gap effectively by not overwhelming them with too many changes and teeing up the need for future changes and more coaching simultaneously? We move naturally into the next section of the session because I want to recap the changes we discussed and decided upon, but I want to do that by attaching this to their vision from earlier. So we repeat their vision in the next section. I paint a picture of where this client could be 90 days from now, or 6 months from now, or at the end of the year, whenever that timeline is, right? If these changes are made and made quickly, we are reminding them of why these changes are so awesome. This is their buy-in, right? It's this energy and tone of, yep, it might not be easy and you're changing, a few things or a lot, but remember, this is where you will be as a result. And not just where they'll be financially, but mentally and emotionally. You want them feeling desire here, clarity and excitement and desire for this future we just worked really hard to create a plan for, right? I want them thinking, I am doing this because that future is amazing and I want it so bad. These changes are totally worth it. Desire over scarcity is a really beautiful place to make an offer, which is the next section of the session. From here, there is a natural conversation into the invitation for more coaching because throughout the session, I've been describing what's next, what more can be done, what we need to keep an eye on, and how I've seen it, and that by meeting for more sessions, we are going to be able to find more ways to optimize their income, spending, debt, savings, so that they're able to gain even faster momentum and achieve their goal faster. Remember from part 2 of this series, you lead with benefits here as well. Anytime you are making an offer, lead with benefits. Can they see the benefit of having your coaching and support to achieve this goal of theirs and make these changes possibly? Once you confirm they want that, you can move into the features of your program, which is going to be the things like structure, length, number of sessions, or meeting cadence, and the price. Keep in mind, some clients at this phase won't care about 90% of the features of your program. Don't talk them out of it if they're ready by over explaining, okay? You literally can just sometimes give someone the contract and they're like ready. After the offer is made and they accept, so they want to move forward, we do the final step of the session, which is onboarding. But first, growth checkpoint number 6. Are you making an invitation or an offer to continue working together? Are you proudly sharing the benefits that more coaching will have on them and their trajectory of their goals? Are you boldly stating that you would love to be their coach? From there, we move into onboarding. Onboarding is essentially preparing them for their next session, signing a contract, paying for the program, and celebrating. If they don't move forward or aren't quite sure if they want to move forward, then we do offboarding, which is essentially bringing the session to a close with a summary of what was discussed and what they can expect from here. We do send some deliverables, for example. Depending on what they decide, they'll receive some deliverables and there's a follow-up call scheduled. So on the client journey roadmap, the visual guide, you'll see this listed as an on-track call, which is the next phase. If they're moving forward with more coaching, this is a welcome call where we make sure they're on track with anything we need for their first session of the program, that they're still excited, right? And if they didn't commit to more coaching, then it's a call to see if they're on track with the changes that we discussed during the session. If they're not on track with those changes, it turns into a sales conversation where we essentially say, it's been a couple of weeks and you haven't made any changes yet, or we would have helped you achieve X, Y, and Z already. Those things should already be done. Let's talk about how more coaching can really help you achieve what you say you want, and you've already worked hard and invested money into coaching. Why stop now, right? That's the kind of conversation this might be. And then you do some onboarding, which can definitely happen here too, because sometimes clients simply need to see if they can do things on their own, and some do and some don't. Either way, always leave the door open here, coach. Always. We have had clients do a discovery session and come back 5 years later to invest in more coaching. You just never know when someone will feel ready. So our energy behind this conversation is, we are here. We would love to help you achieve your goals. And when you decide you're ready, don't be a stranger. And as you make progress, I hope you'll send us updates every now and then. We'd love to hear how you're doing. Growth checkpoint number 7. Do you have a clear plan for what happens after the discovery session to ensure your clients are on track, either for more coaching or with the changes they committed to making? From there, we move into the coaching program. We covered a lot in part 4 of this series. How many pages of notes do you have? I am so curious. How are your growth checkpoints looking? Are you seeing some areas where you can strengthen your client journey in order to take better care of your clients and ultimately grow your business? Please share your thoughts with me. Next, we will continue your ultimate growth guide by going from the discovery session to the long-term coaching program. I cannot wait. For the sake of time, we're going to skip over the deliverables from this session, but if you love this stuff and if you want even more of it, I hope you'll invest in the Financial Coach Academy, where you get our deliverables, you get our discovery session flow, you see how all of this is done, and you get everything we have already created to make this a successful part of your business and client journey. Not only do you get all of these materials and even more in-depth training and tutorials on each of these sections and phases, but you get live coaching with me every month. So when you have your first discovery session scheduled and you think, oh my God, it's happening and now I'm freaking out, you hop on our monthly call and I coach you through it. It is seriously so much fun and makes this journey of launching and growing as financial coaches more enjoyable. I'd love to have you join me in the Academy. You can enroll right on our website and get started right away. I believe financial coaching is the best and most rewarding way to make a living. I truly love what I do, and I hope that shows. If you're ready to learn and see how to become a profitable, successful financial coach, check us out at financialcoachacademy.com to learn more about our online courses, free trainings, and events. As always, I love hearing from you too. If you have questions for the podcast, please submit them at financialcoachacademy.com/podcast. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review. It would mean the world to me. I'll see you next week, Coach.